Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine, while not as savage as his comic book counterpart, featured thrilling battle scenes in both the X-Men and Wolverine standalone films. Despite not donning the iconic yellow outfit from the comics, Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine was an instant hit. He is the only live-action portrayal of the character 23 years after X-Men, 2000. Jackman's Wolverine has appeared in 9 films, with notable roles and cameos. The character will appear in Deadpool 3, Logan, Deadpool, and Deadpool 2 were the only R-rated Fox X-Men movies. As a consequence of this, Wolverine's combat sequences could only be so violent, making him a slightly less lethal character. However, Jackman's interpretation of Wolverine ensured that Logan always appeared as intense as the comics presented the clawed mutant. Wolverine's battles in the Fox X-Men films were legendary, even prior to Logan. Here are the top 7 Wolverine battle scenes, ranked. The 7th item on the list is the X-Men, Apocalypse Weapon X Escape. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine had his final film appearance in X-Men, Apocalypse, before Logan concluded the character's story. Wolverine's presence in X-Men, Apocalypse was unexpected, puzzling, and did not significantly contribute to the story. It seemed like X-Men, Apocalypse had paused its main plotline to follow Wolverine for a few minutes. And his escape from Weapon X had nothing to do with the X-Men stories. That said, Apocalypse's Wolverine's Weapon X escape was one of the most brutal Wolverine scenes, way longer and more action-packed than how X-Men Origins, Wolverine did it. Number 6 on the list, X-Men Origins, Wolverine vs. Sabretooth bar fight. X-Men Origins, Wolverine is likely the poorest X-Men film, but it did have a few memorable Wolverine scenes. In X-Men Origins, Sabretooth is retconned as Wolverine's brother, creating a personal history between Logan and his arch-nemesis, as opposed to being Magneto's henchman in X-Men, 2000. Sabretooth's bar brawl with Wolverine was a highlight of X-Men Origins, Wolverine. Logan still lacked his adamantium skeleton, making the battle between the two mutant brothers even more violent. The fight between Wolverine and Sabretooth in X-Men Origins was intense and finished with Victor stepping on Logan's bone claws, despite the short interlude. Number 5 on the list, X-Men's Wolverine vs. Lady Deathstrike. The plot of X-Men 2 revolved around Wolverine, a popular character played by Hugh Jackman in the first film. William Stryker, the guy behind the Weapon X project, has returned with more ambitious intentions for all of Charles Xavier's X-Men, not just Wolverine. X-Men 2 revealed Wolverine's origin narrative by revisiting his history with Stryker, including the lab where he obtained his adamantium claws. Wolverine was pitted against Lady Deathstrike, another of Stryker's creations, in one of the most vicious Wolverine bouts in any of the X-Men flicks. Wolverine, for the first time since his introduction in X-Men, faced an opponent with similar skills. As if that weren't difficult enough, Lady Deathstrike was definitely more proficient than Logan. Lady Deathstrike was a dangerous combatant not only because of her adamantium skeleton and claws, but also because she was faster and more precise than Logan. Even though Wolverine can recover from virtually anything, Lady Deathstrike's maneuvers were so quick that Logan's healing factor couldn't keep up. Wolverine would have lost to Lady Deathstrike if the vat of liquid adamantium had not existed. 4th on the list, the forest fight in X-Men, The Last Stand. In X-Men 3, Wolverine's brutality was on display during a forest brawl. One of the difficulties in adapting Wolverine is that all of his moves must be either lethal or cause significant damage, as adamantium claws can cut almost anything. Logan infiltrated Magneto's Brotherhood to speak with Jean Grey in X-Men 3, causing collateral damage by killing or seriously injuring every mutant in his path. X-Men 3's forest combat, while not as lengthy as X-Men 2's mansion attack, distinguished itself from past Wolverine scenes. 3. In the list, Logan's Laura vs. the Reavers. Logan got to showcase an aspect of the character that none of the previous X-Men or Wolverine films had done. While some Wolverine scenes in the X-Men films were more vicious than others, none of them could contain blood, for example. Logan was not constrained in any way, and the end result was a realistic depiction of a Wolverine combat scene. Interestingly, one of the most violent Logan moments was not about Wolverine, but about Laura, better known as X-23, whom Logan first brought to the big screen. Logan established quite early that Laura was special for some reason, yet the movie did not reveal why until Logan's home was cornered by Pierce's men. The build-up to Laura using her powers on screen for the first time worked both for those who were familiar with X-23's story and knew what to expect and for those who were now being introduced to the character. From the moment Laura returns carrying the head of the henchman who went after her to when she, Logan, and Xavier run away, Logan sees a gruesome, comic book-like fight displaying all of X-23's rage in a way that scared even Wolverine. Number 2 on the list, Logan's Wolverine vs. X-24. Logan's final fight scene between Wolverine and X-24 is another incredibly nasty Wolverine encounter. X-24, a perfect Wolverine clone who reminded Logan of his former strength, was the unexpected enemy absent from all Logan teasers. It was heartbreaking to witness a Wolverine clone kill Professor X midway through the film, which added weight to the conflict between Wolverine and his clone by the end of Logan. The Logan that viewers knew and rooted for was suddenly weaker and slower, and Wolverine's healing abilities had vanished. Nonetheless, Wolverine engaged X-24 in a brutal struggle. First on the list, X-Men 2's Mansion Attack. Invasions and attacks on the X-Men's mansion are common, and X-Men 2 was no exception. Despite the absence of Magneto and the Brotherhood of Mutants, X-Men 2's X-Men Mansion invasion storyline was a spectacular, action-packed battle in which Stryker held the upper hand. Stryker had meticulously planned the break-in and understood just how to defeat Xavier's defenses, especially now that the majority of the X-Men were gone from the mansion. However, the students could still rely on Wolverine, who murdered hundreds of Stryker's troops and assisted other mutants in escaping the mansion. Logan fought mercilessly and without remorse for nearly 5 minutes to save his friends. The mansion attack scene in X-Men 2 was the first to depict the dangers of a furious Wolverine. Logan focused his energies in X-Men 2000 on safeguarding and eventually tracking down Rogue, with little regard for Magneto or his relationship with Xavier. Logan had become a member of the X-Men family in X-Men 2, and Stryker was now attempting to harm him. Logan from X-Men 2 was being pursued by his past, Stryker, and refused to let what happened to him happen to any other mutant. Despite the lack of blood, the mansion invasion scenario in X-Men 2 is the bloodiest and most vicious Wolverine battle scene to date. That's the end. Unlock the secrets of storytelling through our video, our YouTube channel's guide to the art of cinema. Join us as we delve into the narratives, the characters, and the sheer enchantment that movies bring to our lives. From script to screen, we've got it all covered. Join us as we analyze, critique, and appreciate the magic of movies. Subscribe to our channel for more videos.